something bare. And in the water I see cold reflections of what's really there. I'm not waiting on love, our time has come. We're fighting empires and I want to feel the fire again. It's not easy to love when the world is numb. We're fighting empires and we're gonna feel the fire again. Through, not even aware that it's the darkness that's so hard to see. And I'm asking you to fight, just about the difficulty breaking free from what's really there. I'm not waiting on love, our time has come. We're fighting empires and I want to feel the fire again. It's not easy to love when the world is numb. We're fighting empires and we're gonna feel the fire again. I'm not waiting on love, our time has come. We're fighting empires and I want to feel the fire again. It's not easy to love when the world is numb. We're fighting empires and we're gonna feel the fire again. Tell me the truth, tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof, we know we're future proof. Tell me the truth, tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof, we know we're future proof. Tell me the truth, tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof, we know we're future proof. Tell me the truth, tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof, we know we're future proof. Tell me the truth, tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof, we know we're future proof.
You wanna know my feelings every time I look in your eyes. Baby, I can feel your energy, it's making me realize everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I. Everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I. energy, it's making me realize everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I. Everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena for the final week of the NACE Star League Varsity Premier Pro Super Smash Bros. Season. My name is Audrey Norris, and tonight I'm going to be joined by Tomio Fujimo to catch all the action for this exciting match of Boise State versus University of Guam. Now, Boise State has faced Guam quite a few times, so the question going into this matchup is, what are some of the areas and characters that we might struggle against with previous experience, keeping in mind?
So we've seen Guam a handful of times before. We've seen them playing against us in Ultimate, and I believe we've done pretty well against them. We know for a fact that in the tournament itself, they have a couple of games under their belt. However, when it comes to the actual roster that they're working with, we have seen them actually play Incineroar, which we know for a fact they are very good at. We've seen them play Crom Roy, we've seen them play Dark Samus, Cloud, Rob, Wolf. We've seen them also play Steve. However, we know that that's also been banned. We don't really have to worry about that right now, and I'm going to say that's a pretty big advantage for us going forward.
Yeah, no, not having to go against Steve will be huge, and as we can see, we're already going to head into the first match, which is going to be Boise State's Melbourne versus Guam's Incineroar, and we can see right now that we've already got an intense match with Incineroar messing up his up air and going off the side, giving Boise State the advantage right now, and of course Incineroar launches him up to the air, bringing the stocks back to 2-2 as I say that.
That is an absolutely insane start to this particular match. We see the Incineroar making one little mistake and going immediately off stage, recovering back from that. And after we see this, we see the Incineroar is now back to 50%, Bowser is now at 62, almost like as if nothing has happened.
Yeah, we've already kind of reset to where we were when we joined, but man, with a powerful spin attack from Incineroar, Bowser is brought up to 99%. Incineroar is definitely an interesting matchup for Bowser right now, as he packs such a punch, the heavy character effect of just not having to deal with as much damage as some characters isn't really as much outplay here, but Incineroar messes up his recovery again!
2 times in a row the recovery has been messed up. Bowser this time recovers. We are not repeating history today. Bowser staying in this, getting as much percentage as possible before we see Incineroar going in for that one last finale. Bowser still alive, 165%. Incineroar at another 28%. Maybe we can get a little bit more damage, just chip away and see if we can't get. Well, I say that now, and immediately Bowser goes down.
Incineroar has quite a few powerful attacks under his belt and uses them, but Bowser is able to get a nice grab attack off. Now that it's 1-to-1 on stocks, they both have to be careful, but Boise State is starting at the advantage with a 40% difference.
You're seeing grab after grab. Both of these characters love grabbing the others. We see that Incineroar has a very lovely animation when it comes to what they have, multiplying the damage between the two. And with Bowser, we can see that they love that. That move right there, is that enough? Oh my god, 140%. Faked out once more.
Incineroar the recovery and is able to knock Bowser to the middle of the stage. And of course, looking for his opportunity here, gets grabbed! And another fake out from Boise State here, able to just barely get onto the stage again as Incineroar gets a revenge off, launches Bowser into the air, taking the first game of the match. Guam now having one stock to their advantage here. So,
I had so many notes talking about what Incineroar brings to the table, talking about how Guam has the ability to actually make a comeback, talk about how Guam has his wonderful matchups when it comes to specifically just Incineroar. All that is now off the table in this first round. Immediately, that was one of the quickest rounds that we've actually seen, too.
But yeah, and of course, and as we can see, that Incineroar definitely used Doc's keys to the game to be able to take advantage of some of the just quick pace of the parts of the match, and in Super Smash Bros, that is to punish those openings. Look for the 2-frame, win in neutral, and don't forget to taunt. It's a lot of openings and opportunities in Smash Bros, and you take advantage of them, and you are following Doc's keys to the game, which are always brought to us by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games for you. So, we have already seen a very quick, fast match for both of these teams, and it just goes to show that, we've had a lot of practice against them, and we've seen what they've done before, and they've seen us, so we can probably expect some other fast-paced matches in the future. But going into this was actually a newer matchup for us, because Melfor has not actually had to deal with a lot of what University of Guam has brought in, specifically Incineroar, because Incineroar is a lesser played character in a lot of the NACE matches that we've seen so far.
Absolutely. We've seen Malfour playing usually first when it comes to our particular roster. He's usually here to spearhead our attack against the opponent's team. Going against Incineroar, who is one of their better players, one of their better characters, and still taking 2 stocks off of them, that is a very fine way to start off this game as well. Making it quick as well. That was a very exciting match. Seeing them both grab, going off the stage, we see a couple of mistakes from the Incineroar. However, those little stumbles are going to add up in the end.
Yeah, no, Incineroar messing up 2 of his recoveries there, losing his stocks was a huge part of why he ended up only winning the match with 1 stock left. And as Incineroar traditionally has been one of the better players for Triton, it is going to be interesting seeing how they handle these next couple matches, because Incineroar's goal right now is going to be to take the stocks of whoever is next, as many as possible, before going down. But after that, it leaves University of Guam at a very unbalanced position to go up against certain characters, especially Leodog's DDD, where Incineroar has always had the best success against for them.
Now, speaking of which, speaking of unbalance, speaking of taunting as well from Doc's Key to the Games, we actually are able to see that Newt, who is going to be subbing in for today, which we have not seen previously, at least that much, is going to be playing Ice Climbers. We know that he's very good at that as well. Though he has a couple of other handful of picks, we do see that Newt is going to be playing next. His Ice Climbers, and while they're very fantastic in Ultimate, we've seen them being very much busted when it comes to other Super Smash Bros. Games. We've seen them in Melee. We've seen them in Brawl. They have infinites. Though they may be tuned down just a little bit, in Ultimate, I'm sure we can see very competitive play when it comes to Newt.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see Ice Climbers coming out, especially because I haven't actually seen Ice Climbers a lot in actual like competitive play, so it'll be fun to see the character who gets to be 2 characters at the same time coming out to fight. Whoever the Incineroar, he's going to be bringing out the hammers, climbing the mountain, and potentially freezing Incineroar off the side, which would be very unfortunate for him. But we'll have to see going into this next game here.
And it's a hell of a mountain indeed. We see the Incineroar. We've seen what they're capable of, especially in previous games before. Going up against Ice Climbers, that's a very high skill floor champion, or aka character. We're hoping to see the best, but we'll go ahead and see it.
No, this is going to be a blue battle, which means Incineroar is going to get rid of the stocks to even out who he was previously.
I don't know, I think I've seen that in the first game too.
Yep, and now, as we can see, they're both ready to go here. Both teams looking for their opportunity, and giving them a little bit of space in between. Incineroar trying to be very careful right now, as he's only got 1 stock to work with. He's looking for his advantage here. Tries to go in for revenge. Manages to get one of the Ice Climbers off the side, but as this is a double character, sometimes that's not going to work actually. Although it might work on some characters, as you can see, Ice Climbers might only hit one of them.
Ice Climbers are also double having their level of distance. We've seen them being played previously with very good effect. The Infinite is maybe one of the things that they have going for them. However, seeing the moves working in conjunction with each other, working together, they are a team at the end of the day. And seeing that Ice Climbers has a 68% while the Incineroar is 117, that is absolutely an example, stunning example of what this looks like.
Yeah, we can see the Ice Climbers doing a lot of good chip damage on the Incineroar when he hands on the ground. Gets a nice hit with the mallet, knocks him off the side, bringing the stocks even for Boise State versus Guam right now, which is a great spot for Boise State to be in now.
Newt doesn't come out very often, but we see for a fact that he is very, very effective. He is a part of the team for a reason. My God.
In fact, you said he doesn't come out often. In fact, this is his debut match. So well done to Newt, taking out Incineroar, making sure that the path is open for the next couple games. He's going to be able to take on the next character, and we'll have to see how he does against a opponent that has 3 stocks, but seeing how he went against that Incineroar and was able to get some really nice combos off, I think this is going to be a really good start for Newt in this team.
Absolutely. We've seen from the limited knowledge that we have of Newt so far, we have seen them playing very well. They make sure that they space themselves out very well. We see that they can get chip damage where they can. They take these lovely little risks that maximize their capability to actually deal damage. It's very well done, very professional. They get the job done.
Yeah, no, he was playing really well, and I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup, whichever one we see next. Guam has a lot of variety in the characters that they play, so we'll have to see what they think will be best going up against Ice Climbers now. But for now, while we have a little bit of time, we should probably look at the event so we can talk a little bit about how the actual rules of this competitive game work. So let's go ahead and take a look at the event card real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to these particular crew battles, though they have a lot in store with them, we usually see, when it comes to the scoreboard at least, that there are 12 lives essentially for each character. There's a roster of four characters, or 4 players that have played certain characters, and each character has 3 lives, thus equaling to 12. They go one by one, each player goes against each other player, and when doing so, when one of the characters inevitably gets eliminated, the roster switches out. They can play whatever character they want. However, that next player has to play against them for the entirety of the match.
Yeah, so essentially you have 3 lives. Once all 3 lives are knocked out, you are out of the game, and you basically just, both teams' goal is to eliminate all of the lives of the other team that they're going up against. And like Tomio was talking about, you are locked into a character once you select them, and the other thing that's important to know is that your rotations are also locked in, so you have to select the order of the characters that are going to be going up. So typically for us, we'll see, like we were talking about earlier, Melfor is going to be our starter. He pokes out and sees what we get. Gunslinger and Curly's can kind of vary. Gunslingers typically are second, with Leodog either as our second to last or last, depending on if we want him to anchor, with good old Curly's on Ken normally backing him up, depending on what enemies we're going against. It's a very interesting format for Smash Bros. As it is, you know, what I find really funny about competitive is a lot of people see it as that family game, you know, where you sit down on the couch with your friends and family, you get out the controllers and you're just having fun, you're not really caring. But in this style of game, you would think that it would just be a lot of 1v1s going up against them, like best of 3s of just whoever takes out the other character first wins. But for most of competitive Smash, these crew battles are pretty common. So I think it's an interesting format, and it's very much only one that can happen in a fighter game like Smash Bros. And so I think it's fun that we get to see this variety of gameplay in competitive games and esports overall.
It is a very lovely way to actually showcase the different characters from other IPs. We know that Ken from Street Fighter is in this game as well. We know that there's Bayonetta from the Bayonetta series. We see that they have these different ways to play, different means to actually achieve their goals, to get the other characters out of the game. Like you said, you could play casually. Like, I know for a fact that I love playing Bayonetta so much. Comboing off of certain people and, like, with high risk, high reward, going into the ultimate. It is a very good time, especially in like a party setting. However, this is a whole nother level. This is an entirely different field altogether. It's very different when it comes to the kind of professional plays that they have. They have the teamwork that they can work off of each other. They have these crew battles, and they can kind of take their time to actually space out, talk, see where they can go.
Yeah, and kind of just figure out their strategies. And it looks like we are going to be seeing another classic character from the Tritons, which is Dark Samus. Dark Samus is an interesting character you don't see a lot, but he has a lot of range capability as well as some decent grab, so it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it. And he's already going pretty strong with his own attacks, just holding down the middle here.
Yeah, Dark Samus is holding on their own very well. Make sure they get into space, pushing themselves away. While they do have some very nice melees, while we still have Dark Samus, still has those projectiles, still has those bombs. He was able to see that already, and he still has taken them off the stop.
They are able to get Samus near the ledge, which is what they want right now.
And it's interesting as well, quality about Dark Samus as well. Only having around 66%, making them take pressure at every single moment that Dark Samus can. The Ice Climbers are doing what they could, however, it still takes a lot out of that 30% already, and Dark Samus is still 60%.
Has to deal with the recovery on the side, and Samus grabs it, trying to get Ice Climbers near the ledge, but some very careful blocks there. The lead clear for now.
Great recovery.
Recovery there from Samus. Trying to knock out one of the Ice Climbers and keep them away because their tandem attacks are the worst. This is big dodging the ranged attacks there too. Unfortunately, Boise State is unable to recover, however, losing another stock.
characters, two characters that have to play together, and that can be both a very good benefit as well as a detriment, as we've just seen when it comes to recovery. It's not always possible to actually get back onto the stage, especially with the current focus Dark Samus is producing. Still at 54%, still at 3 stocks. Ice Climb is now at 64%, doing their best they can. Maybe they see the stock? Nope, the recovery Dark Samus, they stay on the stage, fight for their lives.
11% on the Samus. Ice Climbers gets a nice hit off, taking the stocks 2-1. Although it's still going to be very hard for them to come back with this. 90%. A 3-stock intake is another one that Boise State doesn't have to deal with as a whole. So they're trying their best right now to get some recovery. Well, the bomb delays their attack there. They do manage to throw the Samus off. Watching out for the bombs, another nice attack. Oh, but the Samus is able to dodge out of the way and knock them out.
Dark Samus is moving a little bit too soon. Ice Climb is taking him out just for now, doing out the first crew battle. It is the best of 2 or best of 3, so we'll be able to see him again. Hopefully, maybe with a better chance to get Dark Samus once again.
Yeah, so now Dark Samus with 2 stocks to go. Boise State has to figure out the best opponent to deal with that, which if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Gunslinger they're going to bring out next.
Yeah.
Just as they'll probably leave Leodog till the end to deal with any cleanup, and so we'll probably be seeing most likely Palutena or Cloud. As we know, Joker is really not great on Wi-Fi, so we will not be seeing any great Joker action from Gunslinger as much as I would love to see Arsene. So Palutena will probably be, I wouldn't be surprised if Palutena came out. She would deal really well with Samus's projectiles and ranged attack natures, and is also really good at recovering on ledge, so it would be a good pick to go up against this Dark Samus, which can be a very annoying character to deal with in Smash Ultimate.
While I'm very confident in Leodog's ability as King DDD, this might not be the matchup. This might be something that has been decided at character selection. This is something that I imagine that, like you said, Gunslinger with his Palutena, gotta fight fire with fire somehow. We see that he has a couple of other picks that he can pull out as well with like Cloud or like Lucina. While we see that he's very comfortable with Palutena, I'm certain that with that particular moveset, that he'll be doing a very good job at kind of beating back Dark Samus.
Yeah, Dark Samus is an interesting character because it's another mirror character, and for those of you who don't know what that means, essentially it's a character that has a moveset to mirror another character. So in Smash Bros. Ultimate, there is a character named Samus, and then there is Dark Samus, who we've been watching play. The difference between them is there's a pretty minuscule difference between mirror matchups. We were talking a little bit about it earlier. I was talking about it earlier with Ken. Ken and Ryu are also mirror characters. The difference between Ken and Ryu is that Ken is a lot faster. And so there's just like minuscule differences. Dark Samus does float and has a different recovery than normal Samus, so they tend to be a lot more annoying overall when dealing with them, and so they typically see a little bit more competitive play than Samus does. So mirror characters can always be interesting to deal with just because they have very similar matchups to different characters, but currently we're going to go into some replays from the first match. As we can see, it is Bowser versus Incineroar, which was a very unfortunate combo. Incineroar tends to be really good at knocking out heavies, but as we can see there, Incineroar's recovery was a failure there, which is why he lost his first and second stock. Incineroar's recovery ability is one that where he goes straight up into the air and then picks either to go left or right to dive back downwards. So depending on where Incineroar is positioned on the map, when he starts to fall, it can cause him a lot of trouble because he could just move to the other side of the map and fall off. I play a lot of Incineroar. He is one of my favorites. I love the wrestling cat, but unfortunately, I almost never use his recovery ability because there's a chance that you just go off the side of the map, and it's so unfortunate. But in the right circumstances, it's a very powerful recovery because you will go straight up, and if you're next to the ledge, you will grab it. So that's the nice thing. You can cancel out the side to side, but unfortunately for University of Guam, in that last clip, we saw they weren't really able to get the angle they needed to use Incineroar correct.
Absolutely. Being able to play Incineroar, he has a wonderful moveset. And while we've seen Incineroar being taken out at this point, we do see that Gunslinger is going to be playing Palutena. Our predictions are correct. The Cast of Curse isn't there quite yet. We're going to be seeing Palutena against Dark Samus, and we're going to see how this matchup plays out. I have the suspicion that it's going to be projectiles, it's going to be affairs, and I'm already seeing that now from Gunslinger. Use what works.
Yeah, both teams getting ready to go. They get their planting at the start of the match.
Very important because we're talking to the game.
Yep, and now we're getting into it. Unfortunate miss on the grab from Samus, and Palutena is going to launch them over to the other side of the map. Dodging a ball, as we can see, this is already why Palutena is in this next matchup against Samus.
We've already seen a 40% against Dark Samus, 27% against Palutena. We're seeing what we expected. We're seeing that Palutena with Gunslinger with Palutena is doing his best to try to eliminate this Dark Samus, trying to get her off the stage as much as possible. Projectiles against projectiles, Palutena a lovely reflect, has a very beautiful finish right there, immediately getting out Dark Samus, now with just one stock, taking a little bit of for them.
100% on NACE is not scaring them whatsoever as they get a nice counter there into a combo, bringing Samus up to 55% and into a grab. Boise State is in control of the match now. Guam is trying to look for their opening.
Gunslinger just has a very beautiful sense of understanding this particular match, understanding this. He read Dark Samus like a book, taking out some of those grabs, pulling out some projectiles. While it may not be enough, Palutena does go down to first stock, 0%. Dark Samus is now at 75. We're seeing Palutena put on the pressure real hard now.
Forced in the air, which is what Gunslinger was looking for, able to knock them off the top of the stage, bringing the stocks back down even. Boise State now taking the lead. Well, actually, no, not taking the lead just yet. They are down one stock, but it is a significant advantage getting any character out of the way for Boise State. And coming out with at least 2 stocks is always good because it means you have the chance to come back in the next match. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to come back when you only have 1 stock. We found that typically characters that deal really high damage are good at that, but majority of the characters really struggle against that. So anytime you can come out of a match with 2 stocks is a win, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Seeing the 3 stocks against just 2, that's comebackable. We could also see the 3 stocks against 1. That's a little bit more difficult. That's going to be a little bit more challenging. That is a lot of percent that's going to be adding up, and we could see that chip damage is going to add up over time. Very difficult to kind of come back with. However, we see that Gunslinger with Palutena, he's done a very good job of making sure that Dark Samus does not come back again. Beating back that particular evil, we now see that Palutena is an absolute counter. At the very least, we can call that this is just a Gunslinger diff, really.
Yeah, Gunslinger really knew the matchup going in and knew what they wanted to do to be able to succeed. So now Boise State has a much better chance going into this next matchup. The players right now are definitely going to be strategizing to figure out which character they're dealing with next. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Wolf coming out, considering we know that at least 2 of the members of University of Guam have played Wolf in the past, especially now ever more so since Steve was banned, and we will not be seeing any more Steve for this season.
I'm definitely seeing the potential for Wolf, for Crom, for Rob, for Cloud. I'm seeing the potential for all 4 of those.
Get the sword guys out here.
Absolutely. We're pulling out the large sword boys. However, we're also able to see that, well, we just got a little bit of information that their next opponent is going to be playing Roy. That is...
Bringing out another sword boy. You know, there are quite a few characters with swords, especially the Fire Emblem characters in this game, so if we did not see a character with a sword, I'd be kind of surprised. However, Roy is an interesting one. I actually like playing Roy a lot. He's a very high damage character. He has some slower attacks, but they all have fire-based, just powerful explosions. His goal is just to hit you as hard as he can and knock you off the side. His recovery is a little iffy, though, so going up against a character like Palutena, there's not going to be a lot of ledge fighting, at least if Guam wants to keep their stocks as long as possible. So going up against Roy will be an interesting challenge for Boise State, but also a welcome one, as our struggles mostly come from dealing with ranged characters. We play a lot of melee characters. We play a lot of characters that like to get close up and personal when they're taking your stocks. So anytime we get to face a character who also wants to get up in your face, we are more than happy to take them to the 3 stocks and take them out.
We've seen the heavy brawlers that Malfoy has pulled out. We've seen the heavy brawlers that Leodog has pulled out. King DDD, Bowser. We want to get up close and personal. So something like Roy, that's going to be a very favorable matchup for what we have. Potentially, it could be skill alone that could help them out. However, although, I gotta say, gotta bring it back to Roy. One of the OG swords, I gotta give credit where credit's due. That is one of my favorite characters in Smash at this point. At least when I was playing him so long ago. But any case, sorry, bit of a tangent. When it comes to Roy, I'm sure that we're able to see that as long as they control the center, as long as they control the middle of the battlefield, so I would not be surprised if they opt for a smaller battlefield in order to help compensate for that. We're seeing Palutena with Roy. We're seeing, Palutena against Roy, and Palutena going ahead and playing against him. Pulling out some stocks now, and then we can look at that.
Prepare for the fight. As we can see, both of them getting ready, jumping up, excited. Now we're going to begin the match with both of them trying to test the water. Gunslinger's going in for his staff combo there, but Roy is being very careful as to what to expect now. A grab in, but we get a footstool from Gunslinger on the Roy, so that'll be kind of fun to see.
Just a little bit of disrespect. That's all. That's it. Just playing around. We can absolutely see that Roy's at this point understands and reads Palutena. Well, not that well. Maybe he's a little illiterate. Seeing how he takes all three of those pairs in a row, not great.
He has brought Boise State up to 16% here. There's more powerful attacks. Almost gets launched off the side of the stage, but is able to recover the ledge here. Recover that little platform especially. Being at 97% spot for Gunslinger.
It is certainly not ideal. It's full range right now. Roy is doing his best to try to get one heavy attack. Palutena needs to make sure that there is space between him and Roy. We're going to be able to see that Roy is trying to get up close and personal, just like that. Not a kill yet, 122%. Still hanging in there by a thread.
27, both of them sitting on ledge, pulling up the shields. They're trying to stay away from each other's nastiest combos. But Gunslinger does manage to get in and hit. Knocks Roy to the other side of the stage here. Oh, but Roy is able to get around him and use a powerful attack, bringing Boise State down to one stock to Roy's 3. Not great right now for Boise State. As Roy tries to launch another combo to get Palutena off ledge.
He's dancing very dangerously close when that comes to this particular ledge. Palutena's just trying to get him off, just kind of push him off the ledge. That's 100% right in there. It's still very much doable with Palutena. 59% though, still taking a lot of damage. Trying to get him as far off as possible now. Coming at 68, it's going to be a little bit closer than maybe Gunslinger wants.
Grab on Roy and is able to launch him into the air. It is not knocked out yet. Boise State has a really good chance of taking the stock here if they're careful. Launches him off the side again. He's saved by the ledge. Like the platform on ledge there. Palutena just has tons of control of the middle. Gets another grab off.
Roy trying to get up close and personal, trying to get Palutena off the edge. Now, sitting at 81%. Palutena, unfortunately, that would be just enough.
Ooh, with another powerful attack from Roy, he does manage to take Palutena's 2 stocks from them, giving Guam a pretty massive lead now. 3 stocks in total, 2 characters to go through for Boise State now, as we know that the last character for Boise State is going to be Leodog, however, the final bastion of Boise State. So we'll have to see how he handles this matchup against Roy, a character we have not seen as often in competitive Smash Bros. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes next. But we do at least know that we're going to be seeing some King DDD action in a moment.
Now, we love to see those King DDD replays. We love to see King DDD smash opponents, get those grabs, get those very crucial smashes so that we can absolutely see that King DDD sending opponents flying. It always makes for great matches. Seeing them doing what they can to actually get Roy off stage as much as possible, I'm certain that King DD is going to try to play the ledge game.
Yeah, DDD has a really nice just matchup here for him. Leodog really enjoys using his Gordos against his opponents, and because of that, he's able to get a lot of characters off balanced, especially ranged characters. Ranged characters really struggle, well, sorry, no, melee characters. Melee characters really struggle against Leodog because they just don't have the ability to deal with the spikes as effectively as ranged characters who have projectiles that can cancel them out. With melee characters, you can't attack them, and so you are able to unbalance it, but that's extra time and focus, so if you're dealing with a Gordo, you might miss the hammer coming your way, and so that's where Leodog will get you sometimes. So it'll be an interesting matchup that we're going into. DDD has a lot of I'd say a lot of power going into this match with the ranged difference right now.
Absolutely. Seeing Roy, while using a sword, while he still has a bit of a range difference, we see that he also knows. We know that he's also down one stock. We see that King Dedede is coming in fresh, 3 stocks in. We know that he is the singular salvation of the team. With King Dedede, I'm certain that we're going to be able to see that he is going to absolutely rip to shreds Roy. At least taking, at the very least, those stocks off. It's just a matter of how many stocks he takes as well.
Yeah, we're going to go into the matchup now. As we can see, it is going to be King Dedede versus Roy.
3, 2, 1, go!
Right off the bat, no resets for stocks needed tonight. Immediately, with Roy already getting a couple powerful sword attacks off, keeping Dedede near the ledge, already bringing him up to 42%, but the Gordos are
First blood certainly goes to Roy, making sure that he can try to actually get him off the stage. King Dedede sees this as well, trying to counter attack, coming with the Gordo, bringing Roy to 40%, while King Dedede sees a nice comfortable 64.
Right now, the Gordo goes out. Roy is just trying his best to block it, but jumps into it instead. However, he does reflect the next one straight at Leodog.
Which is also crazy for Dixie, seeing if we can actually get the projectile on the other side of his body. Now, that is very interesting concept right there. Trying to get those predictions in there early. However, maybe to no avail. We'll see how this turns out going forward, though. Maybe going 89% or 90% to 111. Dedede ain't scared yet. He's still very much a heavyweight, trying to make sure that Roy actually, get a couple more percent of points off. When King Dedede swings, he swings it hard.
Yeah, no. Sitting at center right now. He gets another nice, powerful attack off with the hammer and a combo with the Gordo, pulling, continuing to keep Roy off balance here, bringing Roy up to 132% before knocking him out, bringing it up 3 stocks in Boise State's favor to Guam's 2 in this match.
Very beautiful, seeing them both in the red. King Dedede playing the ledge well, playing the grab game well, expecting some shields, expecting some engages. However, going down once more, we're only maybe like 12% more when it comes to this Roy. Still doing well. However, it does lead to some extra bit of damage. At this point, King Dedede is at 20%, and we see that Roy's now at 44.
64% now on the Roy.
Just getting better and better.
Trying to hide on the platform, but it's not working out for him. So he has to come in Dedede in the middle, bringing him up to 46%. Boise State has lost a stock, but they are not going to stop anytime soon as Leodog is looking for his opening here. Gets him with the Gordo. Tries to get another one in as it slowly bounces towards Roy, keeping him on the edge of the platform right now.
The Gordo approaches. The Gordo approaches. You're able to see that now they're at 57%, Dedede and Roy is at now 88%. Every little advantage matters. Those percentages, they add up. Seeing that 98%, seeing that red against that orange background of King Dedede, there is a difference here. That is playing the psychological game. King Dedede is floating around, gets the Roy immediately. Now, that's what can pay off.
Yeah, 2-1 now in Boise State's favor. Leodog is not going to go down without a fight here, and he is here to win. As he gets hit again, 93%, 106%. Triton is trying their best to keep this stock for as long as they possibly can, and they are seeming to succeed as they take one more stock from Leodog, making it a 1-1 here.
Down to the last stocks, down to 0%. Roy gets a grab, gets a couple of hits in, but it looks like Leodog is undeterred. Seeing this Gordo bounce back and forth, now 37 and 37, we're seeing Leodog coming in with those hard, heavy hits. He's looking for something. He's fishing for some items.
Leodog just needs to come into the hammer, but Roy is able to jump above it. There's another Gordo, but Roy knows if he just sits on that platform for a little bit, because he'll be safe. To 62 right now. Both of them are on their last stock. But Boise State, if they lose the stock, it will be the end of this first round. So Leodog is going to try his best here to try and knock him out, and he does. Hits him with the hammer, making it 1-3.
Absolutely
Boise State
beautiful.
now facing a very steep hill here if they want to be able to take back this first round.
We got to take those, though. We see the Gordos coming in clutch. We seen 2 strikes, and we're seeing that Roy is going out at this point. That beautiful hammer strike. That is textbook right there. Though it's on the last stocks, at the very least, we can go out with a fight.
Oh yeah, and of course, it's always fun to see the ways that Leodog can combine the Gordos with the hammers. My favorite things are when he'll throw out a Gordo, and it'll bounce a couple times, and you're like, oh, he missed. And then he hits the character with the hammer, and they bounce into the Gordo, and then get bounced away again, dealing an incredible amount of damage. I've also seen those combos, like, knock people out of the stage, and I can only imagine the amount of rage and frustration that it fills within the players when they get hit by a combo like that, because it's just so hard to counter. It's just something completely random, at least from your perspective, but when Leodog sets it up right, it goes beautifully.
Part of Leodog's ability to manipulate the Gordo is part of the mastery that he has when it comes to this particular character. He knows how to play around it. He knows how to use this and abuse this to his advantage. He understands that he could play the patient game very well. Roy, as we could see, had a failing in that regard. While this Roy attempted to kind of come in, try to approach, we were able to see that Leodog was able to actually kind of reverse that, make sure that he actually backs up, learn from the mistakes of Roy, and we saw how that ended.
Yeah, no. And now Leodog is going to this next match with 1 stock. Going up against an opponent, we're not fully sure who it will be. We keep saying it might be Wolf, and we haven't seen Wolf yet, so who knows? Maybe we'll just see a character we're not expecting. But regardless, Leodog has 1 stock to the 3 stocks of this final character. So whoever it is, which it sounds like it is Wolf, it's going to be an uphill battle for Leodog going into this.
3 stocks against 1. We did just talk about this. This is going to be a bit of a rough matchup going in. I have seen Leodog win these. I am hopeful. I'm optimistic.
If there was any person I would make a bet on winning a 1-3, it is Leodog, especially going up against a character like Wolf, whose recovery can be kind of rough. If he does manage to get him off the ledge enough, he has the advantage here, I think.
Leodog is the anchor of the team for a reason. He knows how to play these. He's played against these matchups. He has a mastery, and he knows how to use his character very well. He understands his ability to actually maintain that spacing, to maintain those hits coming back from the Gordo, ensuring that he actually has a victory in some regard. He always has options.
Yeah, and although his character is a heavy character, he also loves to jump around quite a bit, throwing his opponents off guard, especially against this Wolf, who's a very mobile character. Leodog is now going to reset to 1 stock while Wolf waits on the other side. Both of them are going to go up to their platforms, do their taunts, and check their buttons before beginning the match here.
Now, Wolf, though he is very mobile, we still know that he is also a heavy character with projectiles as well. We're able to see that he has advantages when it comes to this matchup. King DD has this Gordo, but Wolf still has his lovely gun.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how Leodog is able to work around this. Both players are going to be looking for their abilities to knock out the other's projectiles, and as we can see, there's already been quite a distance between the characters. Not a lot of huge interactions between the two. 61% now on Wolf from a powerful hammer attack, though, as both of them start to engage in the middle, looking for their opportunities.
We can see that the percentages are kind of stocking up at this point. We can see that Wolf's now at 70, Leodog's now at 69. We're seeing little bits and pieces from this Wolf trying to play the game very cautiously, trying to get these little bites here and there to try to knock off some percentage points to see if they can actually get something done. Wolf is not at this point concerned about the amount of stocks they have. He's worried more about how much damage he can get onto King DD and when he can actually finish.
Yeah, currently the goal of Guam is not to keep their stocks, it's just to take out Leodog's 1. And although Leodog is playing a heavy character, 109 is still not where he wants to be while he's taking out the rest of these stocks. He's going to try and get in as much damage as he can, but this ledge is dangerous against Wolf if he manages to deal with it.
We've seen prediction after prediction, and seeing Leodog on edge is not as difficult as it may seem. We can get nervous, but maybe not that nervous. King DD has options. He sees the rollouts, he sees the spot dodges, he sees and can read this Wolf. However, it comes to 144% to 44. It's going to be a bit of a disadvantage. However, Leodog can still win these. I believe. Full carry. Come on, Leodog, let's go.
Leodog does get a nice attack, launching Wolf into the air, but a block prevents the combo from going through. However, with another powerful hammer attack, he launches him off the side, tries to do a ledge guard, but has to back away so he doesn't get hit by a powerful attack. Now Wolf in middle, trying to block as many Gordos as he possibly can. Ooh, does get hit again, bringing him up to 116. Leodog is now in a great position to knock another stock from him. He just needs his opportunity going into this.
Leodog said, nah, you're not spacing on me. I'm not allowing you in at this point. Well, if you could do what you need to do, however, I'm keeping this battlefield. It is mine. Taking off a stock right there. Wolf is going back to 0%. He's still in the game.
Leodog does not want to go down without a fight, making it even for Guam and Boise State. With 163%, DDD is still going, and he's got a long amount of percentages to take from Guam, but he's doing a really good job of balancing his defense and offense here, allowing him to control this game right now. Oh! Unfortunately, one last combo from Guam does take it from DDD. Wolf's attack there is pretty powerful and was able to knock DDD up into the stage, knocking him out before Leodog could react. However, Leodog making it all the way to 1-1 for the team is an incredible attempt at a comeback, and it does mean that the next matches we'll be going into after this are going to be really action-packed as well, with both teams now kind of knowing each other's mojo and their movesets and how everyone plays. We're going to see some interesting matchups, I think, going into this.
Absolutely. Guam sees these players in mind, and they're keeping in mind who's playing these as well. They see this King DDD, and they think, well, this DDD, he knows what he's doing. He has the game plan. He has the ability to actually come back from any scenario, and they have the ability to, well, at the very least, make it interesting.
Yeah, so we'll have to see going into this next match whether Boise State has been able to learn and take the next stocks from them, bringing it 1-1. But before that, we're going to go to break real quick, so sit tight. We're going to come back with the next match in a moment, so see you then.
Home is where you hang your hat, snuggle up, hide out. Home is when you're with the ones you love. It isn't just a place, it's a state of mind. At Idaho Central Credit Union, our home is Idaho. We grew up here, and we're proud to help more Idahoans with their home loan than any other financial institution. Idaho Central Credit Union. We believe home is where you make it.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Idaho Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Boise State Esports Arena. You are watching our continued coverage of the final week of the NACE Star League Varsity Premier Pro section for Super Smash Bros. My name is Audrey Norris, and I am now going to be joined by Lucas Hall as we continue our coverage of the Boise State versus University of Guam match. We are currently sitting at 1-0 in Guam's favor. However, the final match of the game did end in an incredible upset from Leodog, where he almost managed to take a total of 6 stocks from Guam. Unfortunately, he took too much damage at the end and was knocked out by Wolf, but it does give some hope for Boise State potentially being able to take this back.
I was in the production room at the time when Leodog was going up against that Wolf, and he was up to 160% versus the Wolf, and he was very close. I think the Wolf got to like 70%?
He was definitely getting close enough that if Leodog hadn't been hit by such a powerful attack that was kind of unavoidable, he would have been able to potentially knock him out if he got a really nice grab in. So it was very close for Boise State. And going into this next match, Guam is definitely going to be more wary of Leodog. As we have talked about many times, he is kind of the final bastion for Boise State. And if he really gets in the mindset of, I'm going to take this all on, I've got 1 stock, but that doesn't matter, he could take it totally. I mean, he was at 1 stock and he took 5. So there's a potential, like he had 3 stocks and he took 5. There's potential for moving that around. But all the other members of the team were able to contribute very effectively. It looks like we're going to have a swap out here from Newt to Curly's. And we're going to probably most likely be seeing Ken then instead of Ice Climbers as our substitution. Oh, Newt, never mind. We will be seeing Newt still. Never mind. Ice Climbers are still out. We will be seeing that gameplay continue, so we'll get to see the continuation of his debut tonight.
You know, actually, I was confused about something while watching the Ice Climbers gameplay. So, at one point, it looked like he lost 2 stocks at the same time. Do each of the Ice Climbers count as 1 stock, or is there one main Ice Climber? Do you know?
There is one main Ice Climber, but in certain situations, it will swap how you interact with them, so it changes. Ice Climbers is one of those complicated characters that some of its mechanics and swap-ups will be a little weird, but essentially, for the most part, you are always going to be controlling one of the characters, and when the other one gets knocked out, it can cause you to swap to them. Yeah, and the blue one is always going to be Popo, and the pink one's always going to be Nana. They have different movesets. You control one of them at any time, and the other one just kind of follows you around. You can lose a stock because it'll swap control sometimes, but Ice Climbers is one of those characters where it's very strange to watch them, especially if you don't see them a lot, but they're very effective in the hands of a player who knows what they're doing, which Newt has already shown to great effect.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He was doing really well. And honestly, I could never play Ice Climbers because it's just too confusing for me. Having them potentially switch which one you're actually playing, to be able to play that at a very competitive and high level is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting character to be able to see. We love seeing just more unconventional characters in Smash Bros., especially from the original roster. I mean, when we look at a lot of the DLC characters, they use abilities and moves that we don't normally expect. And they just have mechanics that are very different. A great example is the more recently banned character Steve, who essentially turned the game from Smash Bros. Into Minecraft almost completely. He was able to put up blocks, create walls, he was mining, and all of his mechanics were based around stuff that felt more like it was from his own game than a fighting game. But because of that, like, some of the more original, like, characters have, like, similar feelings to them, but they also are more in line with what you see in general with Smash Bros. So Ice Climbers is one of those characters who kind of surprises you, but you can still play around them depending on what you know, like, just how much you've faced them.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to Steve, he's pretty difficult to kind of fight against, as far as I can tell from watching these streams and playing a little bit against him by myself. Being able to deal with him just scaling practically infinitely is very
It can be hard
rough
to deal with, yes, if he manages to get the right materials. But while we're waiting to get into this next match, we do have the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Leodog tier list, Leodog's personal takes on all of these characters and how well they do against them. As we can see, DDD does really well against some of our favorites, actually. Good old Captain Falcon. We had a player playing that character from Boise State quite a while ago, and as we could see at the bottom of the list, like we were talking about, Steve, as well as another character we saw last week, Rob, when we were playing up against multiple players. There's quite a few characters that, just depending on what you're dealing with, like Rob and Steve, who have a lot of good range and ability to just trip you up, they can be a lot harder for them. But as we could see, the characters that DDD do really well against is characters that don't have, are more melee based, stronger characters that are a little bit slower that Leodog can take advantage of. However, that won't be something, hopefully, that we'll have to get into immediately, as Leodog is typically our anchor. So we'll have to see going into this who it looks like Melfor is going to be going up against instead. And it does look like, just seeing on this screen here, they're going to be pulling Wolf from the very back and putting him up at the front now. So it's going to be good old Melfor playing Bowser versus Wolf. And both players are going to get ready, taunting to start. This is a fresh start for both of them, so they get the opportunity to have a very just standard battle, with Bowser going to have to dodge a lot of attacks, though, not being a ranged character. This is very much a battle of the slow versus fast characters, and to see who can get the more effective attacks in right now.
To be honest, I'm kind of intrigued as to why they switched Wolf from being their last character to their first character this time, because he seemed to do a pretty good job, even against Leodog, who's pretty good at DDD.
I don't know, depending on how they thought the matchups might swap, they felt like Wolf being at the beginning might be better. As we can see, he's already very effective, taking out one of Melfor's stocks. However, Melfor is not really going to let him go down without a fight, already racking up 95% on Wolf's first stock here and launching him off the side. He could potentially take another stock back here in a moment. He just has to get his setup here and not let Wolf get him with one of those powerful side B attacks.
Melfor is like, okay, how dare you, first off, and second off, goodbye. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
He keeps throwing him off the side.
Ooh, another ledge recovery there. He is able to dodge it as Wolf tries to use the same trick on him twice. Ooh. And with a powerful attack from Melfor, he does take the first stock from Guam, bringing it 2-2.
Nice little resetting of the odds, although Melfor is at 89%, while Wolf is back to start at 21.
Wolf does not go for the ledge guard here, favoring to use his pistol to try and get some chip damage. However, Bowser is able to close the distance. Gets knocked over to the other side. He's at 128, but he does get a grab on Wolf. Not going to let him try and get an opportunity for powerful attacks to lose this stock just yet.
I do find it interesting. It looked like they both kind of hesitated to ledge guard, at least for the first sort of opportunity that they had.
Ooh, nice shell attack there from Boise State, taking another stock from Wolf, making it a 2-1 game. Although Bowser is at 181% now, which could be dangerous if he's not careful here.
Bowser is in a very rough spot. Hopefully, Wolf with a side attack, just launching Bowser off the edge. It's kind of rough.
See Wolf trying to use the pistol a little bit more, but Bowser is just going to close the distance and get another shell spin attack off, launching him over to the ledge. Going for the ledge guard. He does manage to get it. Nice read from Melfor there. Launches him off the side again.
100% on Wolf. That's a pretty good spot for Melfor to have him in.
Melfor is looking for his opportunity right now. He wants to keep Wolf by ledge, but he doesn't want to get hit by a powerful attack while he's doing a ledge recover. Both of them reset near the middle. Jumping over the pistols, Melfor has learned the attacks and he knows what his opponent is going to use, and so he's more effective right now, bringing Wolf up to 124%, getting a powerful claw attack off, launching him into the air, giving Boise State the first win of this next series here, giving them one stock to go up against the next opponent.
That's a pretty good start. I mean, it's not, you know, going 3-0, but 1-3 is, or 2-3 is still pretty good.
And the best part about that is because he's taken he still has 1 stock, and yes, that is very hard to come back up against a 3-stock character, but it does give him the opportunity to, 1, see which opponent is going next, and then be able to help the team just understand who they're going up against and better strategize, and 2, potentially take any other stocks off to continue their lead. They have a 1-stock lead right now, so their goal is to just try and keep that lead for as long as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Melfor's kind of goal at this point is to just, okay, I'm gonna see what's up next, so maybe we can potentially figure out who should go next on our team, and also let's see if I can take any stocks. Just a little bit of cheeky stock taking before they have to go to the next player.
Yeah, Melfor's goal is to at least take 1 stock when he does this because he continues the current lead that the team has. However, if he can take more than 1, that's always good for Boise State. Expanding the lead is the best thing that you can do in these crew battles because once you get around 2 to 3 stock leads, it's very hard to come back unless you have a hard-hitting character or a player who's just really good at comebacks like Leodog when we saw in the first matchup. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if he tried to go for the grab attack and launch them both off the side for a trade. I could see that happening. Last ditch scenario wouldn't be a horrible option for him to be able to try and take it. Or if he gets just a really nice matchup against a character, which I'm hearing his next matchup is going to be Cloud. That'll be an interesting opponent for him. I'm not sure who is really going to have the best chance here, but because it's not a ranged character, there's always opportunities for Bowser to get some cheeky stocks off with the grabs and throws that he has at his available for him.
Honestly, I think that Melfor has a real chance of taking at least 1 stock from the Cloud, especially if he does do his... Bowser has like a grab attack, and then he can jump up and slam down. So even if he has to sort of sacrifice a stock and sacrifice his stock for theirs, he could do a trade where he grabs the Cloud and then jumps down. And Cloud has a relatively okay recovery, but honestly, I don't think he could recover from being thrown off, body slammed off the edge.
Whenever Bowser uses the grab and slam attack, you really won't have the opportunity to recover with it because Bowser, whenever he does that, he's always on the top, so he's not going to get knocked out first for the most part, which means that the first character that's going to get knocked out is going to be your character, whoever's playing against him, and that means that you really don't have a chance to react because Bowser's, when he locks you in like that, it's really hard. It's not like other trade ideas where people just grab and jump off the side or do a swallow where there's like a tiny bit of a chance. Bowser's is a lot harder to recover from, but I think that because he's going up against Cloud, he's going to have a lot easier time just dealing with that, and I don't think we're going to see that immediately, if at all. He's probably just going to be trying to go for as many stocks as he can, since Cloud, depending on how they play, they have to really rely on their limit breaks to deal with Bowser. Bowser being a heavy character takes a lot of damage, so limit breaks are going to be essential, and any esports player worth their salt knows about the limit break and knows how to avoid it if possible, unless the Cloud knows how exactly to time it where you're not dodging it.
Oh yeah, exactly. If Melfor doesn't have to do a trade, then he absolutely won't have to, or he won't try. And I think he has a solid chance of not even having to do a trade. But there is always that option.
Yeah, as we see, Bowser is going to reset stocks. With Triton just waiting on the side there. Both of them testing out their buttons, see how they feel. All right, both of them ready to go. They taunt, and the match is now going to begin with Cloud already trying to charge up his limit break. Wants to be able to milk that as much as possible early in the match to potentially get Bowser knocked out. And as we can see, he's already putting on a lot of pain, bringing Bowser up to 41, now 62%.
That's a solid lead on Cloud's part with the 2 combo slashes.
Limit break on Cloud now with Bowser at 107%.
That's a good waste on the
spot, but he does waste the limit break, giving Bowser the opportunity to try and come back from this. However, there is a huge percentage difference right now as Cloud gets a powerful upwards attack on Bowser, launching him into the air.
That's rough. That was very quick and very precise, honestly, on the Cloud's part. Being able to just take the take Bowser to kind of just pound town.
Yeah, Cloud is one of those characters who deals a lot of damage, and people like to play him very differently depending on who actually is in control. So it can be hard to really gauge what he's going to be like. But because Boise State didn't know how he was playing going into it, I'm not surprised that Melfor struggled quite a bit just with the amount of damage that Cloud can put out quickly. Though I will say he did a very good job in avoiding the limit break, because that is, like we were talking about, one of the nastiest things, and if you're in competitive, you want to be avoiding that as much as possible. That can lose you a stock just like that.
Absolutely. If Melfor got hit by that limit break, it would have been over, even before he got hit by the upward attack from Cloud. Honestly, I think the limit break probably would have just shot him off the edge, and there would have been no chance for Melfor to recover at all, just because it's such a strong attack.
Yeah, considering going into that, they were on the very edge of the stage too, and on the little platform. I could absolutely see Bowser being knocked off there, which would have been very unfortunate to lose to a limit break. However, it is even now, 9-9 stocks for both teams as we're going into this next matchup. We'll have to see which players go next. If history is anything to go off of, it's either going to be Gunslinger on Palutena or Newt on Icebreakers. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be Gunslinger. Palutena has a really good chance of dealing with Cloud effectively with having some more ranged attacks. And so that's what I wouldn't be surprised is going to happen going into this. And it looks like I was right. Going into this, we will be seeing Palutena versus Cloud. It is going to be a fresh start for both of them, 3-3 stocks going into this. So it will be... there's really not going to be a huge advantage on either side for that pressure with the stocks, but I do think Palutena has a really good chance against this Cloud.
I agree. Palutena does have a really good chance, but there is one thing that we have to consider, and that it's Palutena is a much lighter character than Bowser, and so if she gets hit by a couple, like a limit break and maybe the combo attack that Cloud can do, I don't know its specific name, it's going to be even more rough for Palutena than it might have been for Bowser.
Yeah, Palutena is quite more light overall than Bowser, which means they do fly pretty far, but I think that will also be to Palutena's advantage, being able to avoid Cloud's attacks. Cloud isn't a very agile character overall. You can definitely jump around quite a bit, but not to the same extent as some characters. So going into this, I think Palutena is definitely going to be doing a lot of dodging and just looking for their openings going into this. Both of them are going to test their buttons real quick. As we can see, like we've been talking about, it is 9-9. We're even right now in terms of advantage for the second round. As we get into it, we can already see Cloud is trying to go for some more ranged attacks. And you can see Gunslinger already avoiding quite a few nasty blows, setting up a nice combo, trying to knock Cloud off ledge here.
Nice combo with the double spin. And another spin sends Cloud up. 55% on Cloud and 21% on Palutena. A good solid start. 30 seconds in. Cloud's got his limit break. That's scary. Palutena really needs to bait that out and make sure that he can't get it. Oh, that's good. I've always found that a little difficult about Cloud, that you can accidentally mess up your limit break, and like by using any of your abilities, it's just, oops, there goes my limit break.
It's part of the mastery of the character is knowing how to hold your attacks and be very careful when using them. We can already see both of these players have some comparable skill, bringing each other very close to similar percentages before Cloud got a powerful attack off on Palutena. However, he does have his limit now, so Gunslinger is able to dodge the brunt of it, but still gets hit, bringing him up to 24%. With Cloud still at 102, this is a dangerous spot for Boise State with losing one stock.
Logged most of that limit break with the shield, but getting hit by the last bit of it. Certainly rough. Ooh, nice. Palutena did a little bit of an explosion and sent Cloud up into the sky. Could lose a stock.
Ooh, another nice combo from Palutena. Isn't able to finish it, but does dodge part of Cloud's attack there and goes off ledge, but is able to recover.
Man, that upward attack. It's just insane. Cloud's got his limit break.
Cloud does a lot of powerful burst damage. Just every sword attack he makes is very strong. Boise State is able to avoid the limit break and avoid the brunt of that terrifying damage, keeping Cloud at a distance here now. Boise State looking for their opportunity to get his next stock, but Cloud is able to get some more powerful damage off. Good parry there, allowing Palutena to gain a little bit more control of the field once more.
He's getting close to his limit break, and he has it at 94%. If Palutena gets hit by a big limit break, that could spell the end. Although, there goes Cloud. Blasting off again, Team Rocket style.
Palutena does have a favorite way to take out Cloud right now, but it does seem to be working. As it's now 1-1, 56% on Palutena to 27 on Cloud, now 30 as she launches him into the air. Gunslinger is trying to end this as quick as possible, does not want to spend any time letting Cloud get his limit break or any more damage onto him right now.
As long as Gunslinger can keep Cloud on his toes and not really able to attack, then I would say he has this in the bag. They're about even, 70% on Cloud and 74 on Palutena, so it could be anyone's game. They're both at one stock.
The ledge guard is unsuccessful here. Cloud slides into the middle. Both of them are being very careful now, upping their shields as much as they can. Cloud does have the limit break.
There it is.
Ooh, unfortunate for Gunslinger there. He's not able to dodge out of the limit break, gets hit by it and knocked off the side, giving Guam the advantage now with a 1 stock difference going into the next match.
That's all right though, because whoever's next doesn't really have to deal with Cloud as much, and as long as they play careful, they can take Cloud's last stock and move on to the next character.
Yeah, Cloud being at 1 stock does mean that he is definitely an easier target to take out. You do have to be careful going up against him, though, because, as I've talked about many times, with the limit break and just the general amount of damage he can do with every attack, he has the potential to take out as, like, multiple stocks, even with just one. Whenever he's at 1, I consider him kind of like a glass cannon of a character. Deals a lot of damage, very fragile, but if you let him deal that damage, it is catastrophic. So Boise State want to be very careful going into their next character pick up against this Cloud.
I know we usually leave Leodog and DDD for the end, but do you think DDD might be a better pick than Ice Climbers into Cloud?
I think that going into Cloud, I wouldn't be surprised if Ice Climbers come out just to save Leodog as the anchor. We currently know that Cloud is substituting for either the Roy, Incineroar, or Dark Samus. We're not fully sure which one it is right now, but depending on what characters that could be, Ice Climbers could have a really big struggle going up against, say, the Incineroar or Roy. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they just have him go up against the Cloud in the hopes of taking out just his 1 stock, though I do think that Leodog overall would be the better pick because he has a much better chance against just taking it down quickly.
And we just heard that Leodog will be playing DDD into the Cloud, which ultimately I think is the right call, just because Ice Climbers is a little more, they're, as far as I understand, they're pretty light. And
they get knocked around quite a bit.
Yeah, especially because they're 2 characters, so they're practically half the weight of 1. So they kind of just get thrown around. So I do think that DDD is probably the right pick there, although it might be a little rough, potentially sending Ice Climbers into the maw of Incineroar later. But
going into this next match, we'll have to see how this shakes out. Leodog has a very good chance of just ending this quickly. But we'll have to see as Guam is going to reset their stocks first.
although what am I saying? It's Leodog. He's not going to lose all his stocks. That's impossible. Wouldn't happen.
If your caster curse activates and Leodog loses all of his stocks, it's going to be very disappointing.
Wait, that's a thing.
Yes, it can be.
Oh,
We were talking about it earlier. Smash Bros. Is the game where caster reads unfortunately go the worst for us. You say one thing about what the characters are doing, and they do another thing the next time. But as we can see, we are already getting into the match, and Leodog is throwing out as many Gordos as he possibly can to try and get this Cloud off balance. already bringing him up to 43, 59% and knocking him off ledge.
Dog is being very aggressive here, although Cloud has his limit, so he's got to be a little more careful.
Ooh, eats the limit, knocking him off to the
Massive.
side. The game fakes us out, but Cloud is now at 92%, which is a lot of damage for him to be taking that early. Leodog bounces him off of Gordo into the air, knocking him out, ending the game.
That is so massive to have your limit break just turned back to you. That honestly, I didn't know that that was considered a projectile that King DDD could eat and then send back at his enemy.
Oh yeah.
That is really, really cool, and
one of the most unfortunate things that can happen to any of the characters is when you're going up against a DDD who has the ability to swallow your projectiles. And there's a lot of characters that have really strong abilities that DDD, if in the right circumstances, can grab and throw back at you. Is very painful to watch. That's why it's always fun to see a DDD go up against other characters. Like, he has a lot of zoning potential with the Gordos, but when he goes up against other characters that have similar abilities, if he's in the right spot, I have seen him throw out a Gordo, then the other character throws out a projectile, he eats the projectile, then throws it back, and then you have to deal with a Gordo and your own projectile, and it is not a good time when Leodog is not messing around.
that doesn't sound like a good time. DDD hits so hard with his hammer, and then you have to consider, oh, he just ate my limit break. Oh,
There I go.
that's his limit break now. Oh, I'm dead.
Yep,
Oh.
there we go, as you fly off the side of the stage, because Limit Break does not lose any power from that. And with Cloud being already high, so high up in percentages, it was not going to end well for him, as we saw. He did manage to survive it, but DDD was able to mop the floor with him very quickly after that. Just a couple hammer strikes, launching him into the air, which is something Leodog is very fond of. Was able to finish up the match very quickly, bringing us to the next match, where he could be going up against any three of the Roy, Incineroar, or Samus next. We don't know who Cloud was subbing in for, or I guess swapping the characters for quite yet. So we'll have to figure out going into this next match who they think would be the best to go up against Leodog.
My bet is Incineroar. That's my bet. I think it's going to be Incineroar, but I guess we'll see.
And we're going to get into the match. It is going to be King
Roy.
DDD versus Roy. So unfortunately, no Incineroar quite yet.
Sort
For
of.
Lucas's read to be correct. Roy versus Leodog is going to be an interesting matchup. Both of them starting at 3 stocks. Leodog trying to fake us out there for a moment. What
I
the heck, man?
got a little concerned. I was like,
Don't lose your stock at the beginning like that. And we're going to get right into it with Roy already swinging his sword, trying to deal as much damage as he can to Leodog on ledge there.
Roy's getting aggressive. I think Leodog needs to kind of answer in kind.
Ooh, throws out a Gordo, does not hit, but he is able to get a hammer attack in. However, Roy is just kind of controlling the field right now, locking Leodog into the ledge zones right now and keeping him off balance.
Roy is definitely enjoying his sort of poof. Hits, King DDD hit Roy with the Gordo, but then Roy hit it back.
That is one of the advantage of sword characters. They're pretty good at deflecting the Gordos and getting some nasty sword combos in, causing Leodog to lose a stock there. With Roy only at 60% right now, it's not looking great, but Leodog does have some pretty powerful attacks if he manages to land one right now.
Man, Roy is deceptively strong. DDD was only at 100%, and Roy was like, yeah, he's goodbye. He's out. He's done.
Yeah, Roy has some very powerful attacks, especially for the Fire Emblem characters, but it doesn't matter as DDD uses a Gordo to bounce him off the side of the stage, bring the stocks even, and the percentages pretty close.
And they're just playing a ledge game. Roy's ledge guarding and got DDD down to 55%.
74 to 35 right now. Boise State is starting to make a comeback with that nice hammer attack off ledge. He hits him to the side and is able to ledge guard effectively, knocking the Roy even farther. A Gordo comes out and Roy is not able to recover, giving Leodog the advantage in this fight now with 2-1.
Leodog read where Roy was going to go and threw a Gordo out there.
down there from Leodog. Getting a good grab. Roy is hiding on the platform right now, does not want to get hit too much if he can help it.
Without getting aggressive. Ooh, Roy grabs him. A little concerned there.
Nice hammer attacks there from DDD. Launches Roy to the other side, tries to hit him with a Gordo, but unfortunately the nature of the stage makes it very hard to get people sometimes with that platform just sitting there. However, DDD
With a
being tall
headbutt
enough
through his-
gives him the headbutt through the stage, knocking him up, bringing Boise State back into the running now.
DDD said, "You didn't need those toes anyway, did you?"
No, not.
It looked like DDD, like Roy felt like Roy was coming down, and DDD was like, "I'm just gonna headbutt your toes."
Yeah.
Man, it's toes really hurt, man. If you hurt him.
Especially if the giant duck, penguin, bird creature hits you with it. And you know what? Leodog getting that win is really good for Boise State. Getting him out of the way is going to be huge for them going up. They now have only one more character to face, which it could be the Incineroar or Samus. We're not sure which one it'll be next. If I had to guess, it's probably the Incineroar. But
That's a pretty safe bet, I would say.
Leodog is going to have a very effective time against both of these characters, and we do have an entire other character to go through, and it looks like it is going to be Incineroar. We do know kind of where we're going with this. Incineroar, powerful character, very good against Leodog sometimes, so we'll have to be careful, but Leodog going into this matchup does know what he's doing. He has seen this Incineroar before, unlike some of these other characters when Cloud came out that throw us for a little bit of a loop. So now, going into this, DDD definitely has a really good chance of taking enough stocks, especially to help Ice Climbers at the end here.
I definitely think that DDD into Incineroar is maybe a bit of a, maybe not necessarily a super advantageous matchup, but I think it's probably a better matchup than maybe Incineroar versus Bowser. Because DDD has a little bit more zoning capability than Bowser does.
Yeah, one of the hardest parts for Melfor the first time he fought the Incineroar was just the fact that Incineroar hits so hard and you have to get up close to fight him as Bowser. But we are now going to be seeing Leodog going up against this Incineroar, one of his more frustrating matchups sometimes if Guam knows how to counter his Gordos. As both of them ready up, check out their buttons, and the match will begin now. Ooh, he tries to time a revenge on Incineroar, but he doesn't time it correct, and the Gordo goes through. However, he gets it the second time and gets 75 damage on DDD with that one attack.
0 to 75, that's rough. But Leodog is not one to be dissuaded and brings him back up to...
Oh, Incineroar getting another revenge is able to use a whirlwind attack to knock DDD off the side. This Incineroar is insane when he's given the opportunity. However, he messes up the input and only gets 34% there, giving Leodog some room. However, the Gordos are not helping, as Incineroar is just using that as fuel to get stronger.
Incineroar says, "I will take your spikes and I will turn them into fire."
Incineroar sitting in middle. DDD does not want to challenge that right now, as although the cat is at 128%, the amount of damage he could do would be horrible. As he's now within stock loss percentage, DDD isn't able to land a hit, trying to avoid another revenge goes through. Oh, and although it looks like there was going to be a trade, Incineroar still hits him,
Oh my
taking
gosh.
Leodog out.
That was dirty.
I don't even know if we got the stock there.
Does that count? Does that count?
It count.
It took his stock?
So it sounds like we haven't had situations like this before, but we have been informed that although it looked like he might not have lost the stock because it was officially a trade, Incineroar is at 1. He is at 1 stock. Incineroar did lose that stock there,
We're up
which
by 2
means
stocks for
there
Ice
is,
Climbers.
which does mean that Ice Climbers has a significantly better spot going into this next fight.
Oof, that
Though that Incineroar is a menace against ranged attacks, and unfortunately for Ice Climbers, they really do like that. And we're going to get a quick replay real quick while we are waiting to just kind of check out some of the characters and plays from beforehand. As we can see, just with this Incineroar, he continued to use the Gordos as weapons against Leodog. He does get hit by that one, but unfortunately, although he was at 142%, Leodog just could not push forward. And as he tries to get in the hammer, they both hit each other at the same time, getting knocked out.
You know, originally I thought, oh, DDD has Gordos. He can maybe zone out the Incineroar a little bit better than Bowser can. Incineroar just used it against him. He just... That was extremely rough to watch DDD throw out his Gordo and then just have Incineroar, oh, I'm going to turn this like maybe 15% damage into 75% on you.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges we have always had going up against the University of Guam is their Incineroar. Their Incineroar knows how DDD plays. He knows how Leodog plays, and he just kind of looks at all of the Gordos and says, no, I'm either going to hit them away. He used to hit them away a lot, so now the fact that he's using Revenges are terrifying, because essentially how Revenge works is if Incineroar times it properly, he does a little animation where he kind of points his finger up, preparing for an attack, and if you hit him while he's in that animation, it gives him a power-up, and he basically ignores majority of the damage and is able to turn it against you on the next attack that he makes. So depending on the attack he chooses, if he chooses to use the belt out where he grabs you and launches you against the just imaginary wrestling ring that pops up, and if he times the input correctly, it could be anywhere from 33% to 75%, but regardless, it is a nasty attack, and the only thing you can do to counter it is to wait out the timer.
That attack is technically two attacks, right? One of them is Incineroar throwing you into the ring, and then him attacking, like hitting you again, right? When you come back?
No, you actually don't take damage from the initial throw. You only take damage if Incineroar inputs correctly and hits you. So there's actually 3 ways that attack can go. Either Incineroar gets the input perfect and he does the little animation where he does this to you. It launches you really far. It deals the most damage. The other version he can do is not as strong. It's when you kind of mistime it. It's all about timing with that attack. So if you hit it a little bit, it doesn't launch you as far and it doesn't deal as much damage. The final thing that can happen, which I always find really funny and really painful, is if you miss your button input, the character will just slam into you and you kind of do a little animation because you forgot to hit them, and Incineroar gets confused because he's like, I was ready, why didn't I hit them? But then no one takes any damage and it leaves Incineroar very vulnerable. So it's a high risk, high reward attack, and unfortunately for a lot of people, when you're at this level of competitive, they very rarely actually miss the input.
Yeah, it's mostly a reward than a risk.
Yeah, but as we can see, we're going to get into the next match. Incineroar is going to have to get rid of a stock here.
2, isn't it? Or is it just 1?
I believe it's just one, unfortunately, for Newt here.
Honestly,
going into this next matchup, we can see both of them, Ice Climbers, being very careful, dodging over Incineroar's attacks, trying to not proc the Revenge as much as they possibly can. However, that timing was well read on Guam's part, and he's now throwing the Ice Climbers all around.
64% on Ice Climbers from 1 Revenge, but Ice Climbers is at 67. Incineroar's at 67, but there goes the imaginary ring, as Audrey said earlier.
He gets a nice grab off and knocks the Ice Climber off the side. However, he is at 84%, which does give the Ice Climbers a nice advantage going into this as they launch him in the air. Incineroar is at 110. He's a heavier character, but not heavy enough that this isn't a safe zone for him. He's still got to keep up the pressure if he doesn't want Boise State to take this from him. However, he's missing his attacks, almost gets knocked out of the ring. Ice Climbers are trying to look for their ledge guard opportunity, but he times it just right. So he's still hanging on there as Boise State is getting knocked around, now at 79%.
Incineroar wants to separate these Ice Climbers so they can't recover, but 150 or 149 on Incineroar.
Gets
And
knocked out.
Good hit from Ice Climbers, sends him out.
It's now 1-2 in Boise State's favor, 109. Unfortunately, they are going to get knocked out right there. It's now 1-1. Boise State and Guam both have to be very careful here. Guam really wants to win this match to be able to end it, but Boise State has an opportunity here to try and take it back. 41% on Ice Climbers, 60% on Ice Climbers. They get knocked off to the side. 20% here for Guam as he throws another character up into the air.
It's kind of a rough spot to be in for Ice Climbers, because if he grabs one of them, then, or if they're both blocking, he can just grab one, and there's nothing they can do about it. Oh, now they're separated. 129% on Ice Climbers.
Ooh, with the main Ice Climber grabbed, he launches him into the air, taking him out. Meaning
That's rough.
Guam is able to take the second round, with Incineroar able to knock out the Ice Climbers very quickly here.
That Ice Climbers did a very good job with that first stock. It was a little rough, but they were able to, not necessarily avoid Incineroar's attacks, but get through them and kind of weave enough in to take one stock.
Yeah, unfortunately, Incineroar with the revenge just makes it so hard to get any good counterattacks on him if he gets the read, and with a character like Ice Climber who is so light, those revenge attacks are very powerful. Unfortunately for Boise State, this is going to be the end of the season overall for them, but they put up an incredible fight against Guam, taking them all the way down to 1-1 each and every fight. So well done, Boise State. We now, of course, have to talk about player of the game. There were quite a few incredible moments for us to talk about here, so I think that if I had to highlight any, I would say I really liked some of Leodog's plays in the last match there with the Gordos, so I would put Leodog up to the bat for player of the game right now.
Honestly, I think Leodog did an extremely good job, first off, with taking 5 stocks in the first round, and then doing a very good job this round. But
as we can see going into it, the player of the game is going to be Leodog. He did have a lot of incredible plays against the Roy and the Incineroar, just taking down a lot of heavy hitters for Guam and trying to set up his team for success. As always, the player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central is helping members achieve financial success. Leodog is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. Well done. Incredible playing tonight. You made such a difference for your team.
Did a really good job using his Gordos, and yeah, that play specifically against the Roy was very, very satisfying because he was able to just bonk Roy on the head. Oh, is this the one where he headbutts his toes? I think it is.
Yeah, as you can see here, Roy dancing on the ledge, tries to jump up, gets knocked away, gets hit by a spike, and is knocked down. One of Leodog's most powerful attacks there. As we wrap up this final match here, do you have any last thoughts and takeaways?
Honestly, although Leodog was the player of the game, I think that Gunslinger, as Palutena, should get maybe a little bit of a shout out because he did a very good job against the Cloud. Although, didn't necessarily take him out, but 2 stocks down is pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Palutena was really big. He didn't make as many waves as often as Leodog, but Gunslinger was a really good anchor for the team in the early areas, able to help take out characters and get rid of a couple stocks. And so he did just a lot of wonderful contributions to the team. Every player did incredible. And as we close this out, we're going to go ahead and give you the top 5 plays of the game, which are presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering a $20K bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. From all of us here at Boise State Esports, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful night and enjoy your top 5 plays of the game.